start streaming, which will take a little bit of time. I'll make sure I don't make it public until... I know. We're still waiting.
No, I'm just making sure the sound is on.
Sound looks to be good.
Yep.
Door closing.
Yep.
Instead of middle of episode.
Yeah. I mean, nobody's going to be here, but...
just good procedure. Very good. Legs are touching. Awkward.
Just how it's supposed to be.
Yeah. Sure. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the less white on the screen, the less glare there is
That's
on my glasses.
Hold on. Gotta fix the media.
Looks like we're live.
Very good.
Talk Magic is recorded live in front of a Twitch audience.
Hi, I'm Rob.
And I'm Orson.
And today we are going to talk Magic. Today we have a couple items on our list. GP Eldrazi. And Shadows over Innistrad. Spoilers. Sorry, I thought Orson here was going to help me with that.
Sorry, I was too busy looking at the screen.
Very good. Yeah, it's kind of exciting. On our screen here, you can't see it, but we have 5 different cards we're going to discuss later on in the episode, and I'm excited.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Shadows looks pretty cool.
Yeah.
All right, so let's dive right into GP Eldrazi. Well,
GP Eldrazi.
Just a second. I'm so happy that this is soon to be over.
Well, the first thing I'd like to point out is that I jokingly last week said that I predicted 66% of the top 8 was going to be Eldrazi.
As a joke, he's not that great of a prophet.
Right.
Thank God.
And we were 2 Eldrazi decks away from that being true.
Yeah, 58.3 repeating Eldrazi amongst the 3 top 8s.
Yeah, I said it as a joke, and it very unfortunately ended up being true. So,
yeah, totally messed up.
Yeah.
Completely messed up.
That's pretty busted.
Very.
So they broke it down on the commentary, during the Grand Prix coverage. But I mean, we had the top 100 of each of the 3 Grand Prix was between 40 and 50% Eldrazi. Mm-hmm.
Actually, a note on that. You said top 100.
Yeah, the top 100 on day 2.
Okay, let's talk about that for a second.
Yeah.
Now, I've heard that Wizards' official statement on the reason they did top 100 was because they lacked manpower.
What do you mean?
This is the first time that I know of that we have seen top 100 as a representation of the metagame.
Instead of just the entire day 2, I guess?
Instead of day 2.
You're right. They usually have, like, a breakdown of the entire day 2 registers, don't they?
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's what we normally see. So it's very alarming that they decided to do top 100. I really wonder, does this number actually get larger if we would have seen every single day 2 competitor? Or does it get smaller?
And I wonder if they did it that way because they didn't really want to look at the format very heavily. Yeah, exactly. What if it was worse? What if they knew the number and they only told us the top 100?
Yeah, I mean, the top 100 might have made it look 10% less on each side. It would be really embarrassing if we would have seen that over 50% of every day 2 deck was some variation of Eldrazi.
Yeah.
Actually, on those variations of Eldrazi, something that I thought was interesting was I kept seeing people were saying, red-green Eldrazi is the way to try and trump the white-blue Eldrazi.
I liked the red-green Eldrazi deck.
Yeah?
Yeah.
But as far as coverage, I didn't really see red-green Eldrazi doing that well. So it makes me wonder if it's just one of those things that people are like, oh yeah, it looks better. It looks like it should be better, but it actually isn't.
Well, I mean, it made some top 8s and things. It wasn't bad.
Right.
I mean, it was certainly better than any other non-Eldrazi deck for the most part.
And that's also kind of tells you, well, it was basically everyone knows right now because look, 5 out of the 6 finalists were blue-white Eldrazi.
Right.
But it does show us just how overpowering the blue-white Eldrazi list is to the overall format.
Yeah.
And I'm sure even if its numbers are a little bit less against the red-green Eldrazi in that matchup, it still had to put up some pretty good numbers.
Right.
Because even at the the middle of day 1, we were watching matchups on coverage that were just Eldrazi mirrors. they were already taking each other out before they could get to the top.
Right. Yeah. So some of them didn't even make day 2.
Yeah.
Well, that's interesting. You just sort of brushed over that topic that 5 out of 6 of the final competitors were blue-white Eldrazi.
Right. Not a variation.
Granted, the one person that wasn't actually did win his Grand Prix title, and that was the Avacyn company.
Avacyn company. Yeah. And that's something else. Avacyn company. Kind of. We needed more of these linear decks, decks that could just try and do something quicker. I mean, Avacyn Company has a way to kind of throw some creatures in the way if it has to. It's a combo deck.
Right. And
it's interesting because normally it's not that good of a combo deck compared to the rest of Modern.
Because it has stuff like Jund and the other sort of mid-range control-ish sort of decks to keep it under wraps.
Right, exactly. Yeah. And we don't have that anymore.
Yeah, I mean, you can hardly even afford to play a lot of single target removal outside of your dismembers in the Eldrazi decks and stuff.
Yeah, and Path to Exile. Yeah, it's kind of wild to think that Avacyn Company was the hero, the only hero. But I also kind of want to talk a little bit about, at the beginning of this, whenever everyone, all throughout God's Green Earth, all throughout Magic articles, they said, you know what? Eldrazi isn't that bad.
Let's wait and see.
Because we can actually find a way to beat it. We, the Modern community, and Modern as the entire format, has always found a way to at least try and contain a deck.
Right.
Okay.
To absorb it into a new metagame, if nothing else.
Right. Yeah. So even if a deck was dominant in the past, we were still able it just didn't have these sort of numbers.
Right.
So we had a website, Modern Nexus, who did some sort of comparisons involving what used to be dominant in the past.
And I'm sure some other sites have done similar things, but
right.
Yeah, there was an article Monday where they were showing the decks that have contained banned cards like in the month or two before they got banned, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
decks that were considered dominant.
They were getting not necessarily broken, but yeah, like you said, dominant. Okay,
mm-hmm.
So it starts with Bloodbraid Jund, and they were peaking out at like 25% ish,
which is actually still really high.
It is high. Yeah,
it is very high.
Yeah, it's higher than anything we saw last year with the really balanced format we had, where like at best your twin matches were your twin metagame shares were hitting like the 15% mark or something.
Yeah. 15.
Deathrite Shaman was hitting around the 20% mark before it got banned. The pod decks were getting between 20-25% before it got banned, and Delver, before they banned Treasure Cruise, wasn't even hitting 20% yet, and then Twin wasn't even was just barely clearing 15% at maximum.
And that also kind of it bothers me that they ended up banning Twin whenever the numbers weren't quite that high, but it does give us a new this is where maybe if a deck gets to this point, it might be considered dominant and we need to get rid of it.
15 seems pretty low for that threshold.
It does. In my opinion, whenever
25-ish.
That's less than 1 out of every 6 rounds that you would see Twin.
Yeah.
That's not that big of a
deal. And not to mention that with these fluctuations, there were periods where it was like 5 to 10%. So it's not like it was never like a consistently dominant force.
Mm-hmm.
It was a metagame deck where it swung just like everything else did. It just happened to have a bit more of a share than the other tier 1s did.
Right. Well, combo.
Yeah.
But so what's interesting about it, there's something unique about GP Eldrazi and PT Eldrazi and just this Eldrazi winter. Not only did we see a deck that just completely obliterated the numbers of anything else we've ever seen to where people are calling it tier 0.
Yeah.
Okay. Not only do we have this just absurd, when's the last time you've seen this sort of numbers from a deck?
Well, I don't know the exact numbers, but it had to have been like Caw-Blade, I'm sure.
Which I played in, and that was just everywhere.
Like everywhere. So I'm sure that hit like the 66-75% mark or something like that. Ridiculous.
I don't think it was that high, but my God, yeah, it felt like it.
And then original Mirrodin Affinity, which was just Affinity and Anti-Affinity was the entire format. Mm-hmm. So that's probably the last couple of times we've had this before the dark ages of combo winters way back in the 90s and stuff. So.
Right. So what I want to kind of talk about particular subject then. So right before this, things that people used to say, hey, we're going to ban, these should be banned. People as a whole, the community of Modern were saying, before all this happened, before Splinter Twin, they were saying, Amulet Bloom should be banned. It was 5% of the metagame,
Yeah,
right?
that's silly.
Yeah, but people were talking about decks that were a much lower percentage and saying this is a problem and we need to get rid of them. Okay, there was more. Goryu's Vengeance was a hot topic for a moment, but it still only ever saw at max like 4-point-something% of the metagame.
Right.
And that was like 1 month ever.
Right.
Before people realized, wait, Goryu's
and
Vengeance
it's existed for a
good.
long time. Like the cards that it is comprised of have not changed really.
Yeah. I mean, sure, someone found a new combination that we thought would be dominating,
Right.
but it wasn't.
Right.
Okay? Whenever this happened with Eldrazi, something unique happened. And it was that the community as a whole were more willing to wait and see with something that was this dominant. I think...
Which is weird.
It's very weird.
Yeah.
I have a little assumption as to why the average player was more willing to wait this out. I mean, Goryu's Vengeance, think about this. It did well at one event, and people were immediately saying, let's ban this. This needs to go.
Yeah.
Okay?
Well, I have my own theory too, but we'll get to yours first.
Perfect. I love it. So we can discuss both of them. My theory...
I think we've touched a little bit on this already too in the past.
Okay. My theory is the pro players leading up to this talking about Modern and this Eldrazi, they were a little bit more lenient. I heard a lot of pros say,
Let's
no,
wait and find out. Or,
Eldrazi's fine. We don't need an emergency ban.
Right.
Everything's okay. Everything's great. Now, nothing against pros. Obviously not. But what is the one thing that pros have been looking for in Modern ever since its inception?
a solvable format.
A format they know. Doesn't mean you can beat. Solvable doesn't mean you can solve it.
Right.
It means you know what the format is going
Right. You
into
can prepare for it easily.
What easier format than one where 40% of the decks are Eldrazi or a deck? Let's go with that. Where 40% of the decks are a deck, and that deck has stifled the presence of other decks from even existing in the format.
Right.
So the format has became, instead of being what Modern normally is, beyond our two heads, okay? Normally Modern is this big.
And it is. I mean, and you get instances where even those odd tier 2 and 3 decks occasionally can break through and win. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that cannot happen right now.
Right, we shrunk those. We took
Yeah.
away, if this was the tier 3, we pulled those out. We basically took out tier 2.
Yeah.
Because sure, Avacyn Company did well, but it's because it became tier 1.
Right.
Right. We got right here.
It may have used to been tier 2, just like yeah.
Just like any other format. So now we have this circle, this bubble, and all these decks now fall outside of it. They're not even viable.
Right.
We just have this tiny bubble of decks that we have to think about and prepare for. Now,
I'm
bet,
pretty sure that contributed to it. I think you're right.
I think so, and I still a little bit more on that. I think that
not the problem, just the community's response to the problem.
Right.
Yeah.
I think that if I was a pro and I had an opportunity to see this in Modern, which we've never seen before, I think I would like that. I think that look, whether the pro, I guarantee amongst the pros that were saying, hey, wow, let's keep Eldrazi around.
Well,
I guarantee there were some that thought they could solve it, and there were some that said, well, Eldrazi's fine anyway.
Yeah, I'll play Eldrazi, and then I'll just tune it to beat Eldrazi, and everything will be fine.
Exactly.
I think a little background might be necessary for people who don't really know what you're talking about here. Like if you think, anytime we've heard pros commenting on the state of Modern, it's usually a complaint that the format is just too wide open. There's too many decks. It's too difficult to prepare for the occasional pro tour that they're actually interested in going to. Because I think more of the pros go to the pro tours than they do like the opens and stuff like that. Right. So like every time a pro tour came up that was Modern format, we had this little outcry of pros that
even GPs.
Yeah, and Grand Prix, sorry. that complained about the format because it wasn't an easy format to test for.
And it's because it was so wide open, and you would hear a lot of different various complaints, all kind of surrounding to the same thing, the fact that it was diverse and open.
Right.
Whether the pro was complaining because, well, my sideboard is only 15 cards, and there's too many decks I have to worry about, and so on and so forth. Or they just didn't want to put in the time to test a deck.
Right.
So yeah, what's your theory?
So what essentially what it was is that we took this format that last year was very, very diverse,
fun,
and we turned it into essentially what is a very narrow and unfun standard season. You know, because there's occasionally every couple of years or so there's a standard season that's like 3 decks. You know,
right?
And that's not what you want, but that is what a pro would want, because if they're only going to play Modern for one season or whatever, they don't want to have to test for more than a month or two.
Right. Yeah, because there's very few GPs that are Modern.
Yeah.
And there's only so many that a pro would go to.
Yeah.
That would happen to also be Modern. So, yeah, I think you're absolutely right. What did you have a theory you said?
I think the other reason that the public at large was willing to accept the wait period for the ban rather than like a big clamor for the ban hammer, which, I mean, there was a clamor, but it wasn't nearly as pronounced and unanimous as it should have been.
You know, it went away quickly, which was, that's what also made it different.
Yeah, that was
like
weird.
There was people that said, oh, blah, blah, blah. But as I said, I think the difference here, once again, we talked about Bloom, we talked about Gory's Vengeance. It was because the pros were still saying, let's get rid of Bloom. Hey, I'm Chris Van Meter. I love Bloom. It needs to go.
Yeah.
It's too good.
Now, to be honest, I don't think it was too good, but it did violate the rules of the format.
But here's the difference. Once again, the pro
Right.
is saying it's too good.
Right. Yeah.
There's the difference.
He didn't say it busted the rules of the format and it needs to go. He was saying it's too good.
It's too good.
Which is weird, yeah. But my theory, and I'm pretty sure we talked about it 1 or 2 episodes ago, was some of the public was happy with the Eldrazi because it gave them a cheap deck to play in Modern.
Right.
It gave them a way to play big, fat, swingy creatures without having to spend $100 plus on Tarmogoyfs.
Okay.
You know? I mean, sure, they still had to invest in a handful of relatively expensive cards, but I guarantee that Eldrazi deck was nowhere near the price of your Jund decks and such.
This is true.
So for one glorious season, those players who have been priced out of Modern had an entry point, and as soon as that ban hits, they're going to be back out on the streets again.
Right. Well, maybe they'll hopefully be hooked. I hate to try and find a positive to this, but
it could be a positive. I'll give you that.
Yeah, but overall, this was a negative. This is something people are going to look back and say, huge mistake. And you know what? Hopefully we learn from this.
Yeah.
If there truly is a deck that is this oppressive, and you knew it was oppressive because, okay, we discussed in about 2 episodes ago, it was somewhere around there, we talked about how everyone, might have even been 3, everyone kept saying, well, this is the time for Merfolk.
Yeah.
Merfolk's really good because it takes care of the deck.
Yeah.
And we were saying, whoa, no, we can't. We can't take care of... Merfolk doesn't actually do it because, yes, it looks like getting rid of the lands gets rid of the problem, but it doesn't.
Right. It just sets the whole entire game back a turn or two.
Just turns into regular Magic.
Right.
And then you wasted your turn.
Right.
We do have a question. It says, did they say what is being banned for Eldrazi?
There was an interview during the top 8 of Grand Prix Detroit with Aaron Forsyth, and you can find it if you actually go to that coverage and look around the 8.5 hour mark or something like that. But anyway, he basically just said, we know it's a problem, we're looking into it. He did not say anything concrete.
So to answer your question, no, he did not say what they're going to ban.
Right.
A lot of people are speculating. We here at Talk Magic believe it should be Eldrazi Temple. That's the one.
I personally think it should be both.
Okay. If there was one ban, it would definitely be Temple. I'll tell you why.
It could be either or, though, to be honest.
I'll tell you why I don't think they actually ban I have a really good theory here.
Why? Storyline?
Because, no, not storyline. That would be the most ridiculous answer ever. Storyline.
Really?
No. Okay. The reason I think they will keep I is, sure, it does go ahead and what everyone is... The only argument people have against I is the fact that you can drop a whole bunch of mimics and then cause the whole big mass attack and so on and so forth.
Right.
A big thing we saw over the weekend was Pyroclasm and those sort of effects take care of that easily and very handily.
Yeah, at that point it plays a bit like a slightly better but less consistent affinity.
Yeah, I agree. So that is what I does. Temple, as we said in the last episode or so, it
progresses your mana.
keeps the more temples they have, the more mana they get to keep making. They
Right.
get to push themselves farther along than you do.
They get to play those like turn 3 world breakers and stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They get these insane draws that we should not be seeing in Modern.
Right.
I think here's my strongest. I didn't know what they would keep or what they would do whatever else, but there was something that Aaron Forsyth said. Okay? And he said that they still want Eldrazi to be a deck in Modern after the banning.
Or at least playable if it's not like a favorable deck or something.
So,
yeah.
is Eldrazi actually playable as a deck if we get rid of both lands?
Probably not.
No.
I mean, not as a deck as a whole, but there are cards out of it that are. And,
Sure,
and to be
Thought-Knot's
honest,
here.
yeah, exactly. To be honest, like that's how every set is. Every set has a few cards out of it that are good for Modern.
Mm-hmm.
So I wouldn't interpret it as him saying they're going to try and keep the Eldrazi.
Look, he didn't say we want to keep Eldrazi relevant.
Yeah, but they
He
also
said
don't.
they want the Eldrazi deck.
They
to
also
still be
don't
in
test for
Modern.
Modern. They don't know what Modern's
They
doing.
don't. But you know what? I promise you they are now.
Not as much as they need to be.
Okay, maybe not as much as they need to be, but I tell you, I guarantee they're getting people on it. They're getting opinions. And if anyone actually really sat down, thought about these cards, not in the way that I said people were thinking Merfolk could beat it, because that's completely way off. Okay? But if you can actually sit down, think about how the game plays, what it does, you will actually see that, look, the real problem here is the Temple because it's not just one turn ahead. Vugan, as said, it maxes one turn ahead. We're talking about Temple plus I or multiple temples still being available allows you to get not just one turn ahead, 2, sometimes 3 turns ahead.
Right.
That's the problem.
I mean, there still is the busted possibility of I plus Urborg, which is the same thing essentially, but those are both legendary lands, so it's not.
And they
nearly
still
as...
don't also make a Thought-Knot Seer.
Right.
That it doesn't make a Thought-Knot Seer.
Right.
At best, you're talking a turn 2 Wasteland Strangler.
I'd be to address what Malaza says in chat there. I would be very surprised if they banned any single non-land card. I really don't see that happening. But I personally am gunning for them to take out both of the Eldrazi lands. Both of them. That's what I would like to see happen.
And that would pain me. You know why that pains me? I still want to play Tron. I really do. And people are saying, oh, Tron's still okay without I, or just take it. No, I is seriously the best card in Tron.
Yeah.
Okay, it is. And I don't want to hurt Tron. Come on, guys. You may hate Tron, but think about me here. Okay, this is about me. Okay, that was pretty awesome. I like the discussion on GP Eldrazi. If anyone else has any questions on it, do leave us a comment. We will address it at the end. Let's go ahead and move on to SOI spoilers, unless you had one more comment.
No, I'm good.
Great.
Yeah.
Okay, SOI spoilers.
Oh.
You know what? Before we even get to it, we did get a question here. Isn't it enough to put the Eldrazi deck down to 4 Ancient Tomes instead of 8? That's
Tombs.
Damn it, I hate that guy. Tombs, yes.
That's you.
I know, it's me.
That guy is you.
I said that guy. I said me.
Not okay, Magic asks, isn't it enough to put the Eldrazi deck down to 4 Ancient Tombs instead of 8?
Yes.
It's way better. It's way better, but you know, either one that you leaves the potential for something busted to happen. Now, how busted? I don't know because I haven't done the testing. You know, so if they leave I and there's still the potential that you can play all those crazy little turn 1 things, dump your entire hand of endless ones and mimics on the board or whatever. Is that busted? I don't know.
It's not.
I guess in the context of
it's
Modern,
affinity without the synergy, really.
Right. And then what's the rest of your deck? Because you have to build it differently and stuff. I don't know. And if they leave the temple, you still have Eldrazi.
You know what? Hold on. You just sold me. You know what? I'm fine with them leaving I in. See how I did that?
That's what I said. I mean, that's what you said, not me.
That is what I said, but you just convinced me
Okay.
that I's okay because that's all it does, right? It's a worse affinity.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, I think it would be okay if they just get rid of one or the other. But personally, if they did both, I wouldn't be unhappy.
If they did both, I wouldn't be surprised, but I would be unhappy because it tells me I don't think they did enough testing.
Well, they're not going to do testing. They're not. I mean, they are doing testing, but they're not going to do nearly enough.
Which reminds me, I did have a question recently where someone said, do you think that Wizards should allow Talk Magic to be in charge of the banned and restricted list. Your thoughts?
Well, first of all, we have to draw up some contracts.
You're right. We're gonna have to send this over to our people in Charleston, I guess.
Yeah, that's we have to get people on this. Get the ball rolling.
You know what? So to answer their questions, maybe. All right, so, on to the
Shadows of Innistrad.
Yeah, Shadows of Innistrad spoilers. Which one do you want to start with?
Let's do the least one first. How's that? The red one.
I don't even know what the least one means.
Ravenous Bloodseeker.
What does that mean, least one?
I don't know. The one that is the least interesting, I guess. Well, actually, no. They all have something about them. Okay, let's start with Thraben Inspector.
Okay. You know, it's weird because I kind of wanted to start with this card. I have no idea why. I think it has the least amount of excitement in a sense, but that's where I want to go.
There were probably, since the last time we looked at the list, in the last day and a half, there's probably been another 10 or 12 cards added to the unofficial spoiler list over at Salvation, right? Mm-hmm. So we just picked 5 of them that looked interesting. Some of them you've seen on the mothership, some of them you might not have seen if you don't go there. Thraben Inspector, 1 white for a 1/2 human soldier, okay? When Thraben Inspector enters the battlefield, investigate. That's the end of his text.
Interesting.
Now, I really like that.
I do too. It's really cool. I'll tell you what's unique about this guy is we're talking about 1 white, 1/2 that puts an artifact into play. I don't even care if the artifact does anything.
Yeah.
It's putting an artifact into play.
Yeah.
So you have a 1 white creature that if you have some sort of synergy with human soldiers.
If you guys don't know what investigate is, a thing that says investigate just means put a colorless clue artifact on the battlefield that you can pay 2 and sacrifice to draw a card. I don't know if any of you have seen that or not.
Right, which is, it's kind of interesting because, like, we're talking about this guy sets you up for future turns if you ever have 2 additional mana to draw a card.
Right.
And if there is any other sort of artifact shenanigans or colorless shenanigans that happen in Shadows of Innistrad.
Which they haven't spoiled any that I've seen yet, but it doesn't mean they're not going to be.
Or there might even be something in the next block.
Right.
That could involve artifacts or, once again, colorless cards.
And I'm sure there's at least a handful of things that will still be in Standard when this comes in. That, I mean, I know there's some things in Origins that work off of artifacts.
Right. So, yeah, I think this is a card that a lot of people are going to overlook in a sense. Obviously, this card is fantastic and limited.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, I'll give you that one.
I mean, this is like, whenever I think of, I want a 1-drop, this is it. This guy's perfect. If I draw him late, for 3 mana, I get a 1/2 blocker, and I get to draw a card.
Right.
Even that is okay.
And then if you have any synergy whatsoever with artifacts or sacrificing an artifact or something, he gets that much better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so even as we discussed this card, now I looked at this right before we started the episode. Now that we've discussed it, I mean, his power level for constructed, he might actually have some use. Obviously, I mean, limited. If anyone that is a limited master looks at this card and doesn't say this thing is not insane, I think they're nuts.
Yeah.
It's really good.
He's pretty neat, and I'd like to see him in some sort of constructed synergistic.
I mean, he could easily find a place there because he does do enough. I mean, once again, constructed playable, a chance, but not quite likely.
I mean, there's been already a handful of cards that have investigate spoiled on them, and like this guy seems like the most efficient investigate I've seen so far.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about Just the Wind.
Okay.
which
is a great name for a card.
This is a fantastic name. I mean,
Just the Wind.
How does anyone, when they read this card, not think fart? That's all I can think is just a very simple 4-letter word, fart.
So, this is a cool card. It's an instant for a blue and a generic, and it says return target creature to its owner's hand, so it's unsummon. But it has a madness of 1 blue.
Which does make it unsummon.
Yeah. So it's exactly unsummon if you cast it for madness, which means you also get to do whatever madness shenanigans happened to get its madness cost.
Yeah, so that's pretty strong. It's pretty good. As long as we get enough outlets that say, hey, we can.
And this means now that for one of a colored mana now we have a lightning bolt and an unsummon madness cards in this set.
I didn't even realize that.
Yeah.
Do you think we could possibly see a Madness Giant Growth?
Wow. That
would be ridiculous. No.
A Madness Healing Salve?
What? There's no way they're gonna make a healing. No way.
No, that's not the cycle. Because the cycle, if that was a cycle, this would be a madness ancestral recall.
No, this is a different cycle.
No. Oh, okay.
This is the fiery temper, just the wind cycle. We haven't seen it yet.
Oh, I see.
So yeah, actually, what would be a green? What would be a black?
Well, black could
easily be
be
-1/-1.
Well, no, I was gonna say black could easily be Dark Withering.
It better not be Dark Withering. I've definitely invested money into that card.
I mean, seriously, at this point, that's exactly what it could be.
Okay, I don't think so because right now we're looking at fairly aggressively costed cards.
What is
Fiery Temper's 3.
What is Withering?
6.
Oh, you mean the non-mana
Actual
cost.
casting cost.
Okay.
I think they're gonna choose.
Yeah, you're right.
If they're gonna choose cards to have some sort of cycle, I think they're gonna choose like a Giant Growth. We could have a green, one colorless Giant Growth that is extra playable because of Madness.
Right.
You know, we've had one green, one colorless for +4/+4.
Right.
So how much worse is essentially a +3/+3, but could also somehow cost 1.
Right. And it's getting around some shenanigans because of Madness.
Right.
Yeah.
And the reason I said with the black card, why I think it would Madness -1/-1 is because we didn't even bring it up. I wanted to talk about that enchantment.
Oh, yeah. The what disfigure basically enchantment?
Yeah. That thing. It's wonderful because the very last episode, what we talked about was how good the creatures are.
Right.
And I said we need, for sure in this format, a red 2-damage spell, which we do have.
Well,
Fiery Impulse.
The setup there was
Origins.
If Madness was going to be anywhere near the power level that it was when Blue-Green Madness was a deck, we need something to be able to take out those Madness enablers to keep it under wraps.
Because what they shown us this last weekend was, look, these cards are really good.
Right.
So, I mean, these cards are aggressively costed, and they do a lot for what you're discarding.
Right.
So, yeah, I said we needed that, and we needed a Disfigure type card. And that's what they gave us.
Yep, they did. It was a 1 black enchantment, or aura, enchant creature, it gets -2/-2. So, yeah, they gave us a variant of Disfigure. That's pretty good.
Which actually brings me to another point. A question I had recently was, do you think someone at Wizards is a time traveler, listens to us, and then prints cards in the past?
Pretty likely.
I like those odds, too.
Yeah.
So, Just the Wind. Also, you did not even say. You didn't even mention the flavor
part.
text.
Actually, this flavor text is like the tagline of Eldrazi Winter.
Huh. Yeah. There's nothing to worry about.
Just the wind. There's nothing to worry about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It'll pass.
There's nothing to worry about.
All right.
Everything's fine.
Let's go to, we talked about a Madness card. How about a Madness Enabler?
Okay. Last week we talked about that transform one that was a black and a colorless, and you discard a card to flip it. Right?
Yep, and it became a 3/2 flyer. Yep.
Right.
And I also said that we needed some more 2 casting cost cards that said discard. And I also said that I think red and black are very clearly the Madness color choice for aggressive, it seems.
And I also said that it seemed like, just from that one card, that they were being very careful with their Madness enablers, giving us ones that were not infinite use.
Yes, you did.
Yeah. So
and I think you're spot on.
That brings us to our next spoil, which is an uncommon. It's called Ravenous Bloodseeker. It costs a red and a colorless. It's a 1/3 Vampire Berserker. That's the 3rd vampire now.
Mm-hmm.
It just says, discard a card, Ravenous Bloodseeker gets +2/-2 until end of turn. So,
I just realized as you talked about that card, I looked at this from a different point of view. Wow. We need to change how we talk about casting cost. This needs to be a red and
a generic.
Any.
And a generic.
I'm calling it any.
Okay.
Like,
I don't like saying it that way. It sounds funny.
there could be 3 any.
Well, it's a red and an any. Anyway, the point here being that this card, without some kind of toughness boost, can only be used twice before it dies, right?
Right. You use it once, he stays around for another activation.
And it becomes a 3/1.
Right. Or you use it, and now you actually got 2, a Madness outlet that you could use twice.
Right.
So
in a way, he's actually, if you look at it that way, he becomes a 3/1. He's a little bit like Aquamoeba. But with Aquamoeba, you could do it over and over again.
Right, you could switch and play around your opponent's tricks.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, they did. They made a red Aquamoeba.
I guess they want to call it a fixed Aquamoeba. because I have a feeling they're not going to give us a just flat.
Oh, they're not going to. I think
Yeah.
you're right. But I will say this: he's not a fixed Aquamoeba. This guy's better. And I'm totally making something up because he's a vampire. There's going to be vampire synergy.
Oh yeah, I mean we've already seen. Like I said, the 3 cards we've talked about so far have been the Madness Vampire,
Madness vampires.
the Discard Vampire that transformed, and now this guy.
Definitely a thing. Vampire Madness.
Yep.
All right, let's talk about a card that's been getting a little bit of press.
A little bit.
Okay.
A lot of bit of press.
People are going nuts for this thing. This thing in the ice.
The thing in the ice. Oh, well done.
Oh, I didn't even realize it. Man, I'm on fire. 1 blue, 1 colorless. It's a 0/4 defender.
1 blue, 1 any.
Ah, got me on my own.
Yeah.
Shit.
0/4 defender.
No, forget this. We're starting it over. Thing in the ice. 1 blue, 1 any.
All right.
Okay, it's a 0/4 defender. Thing in the ice enters the battlefield with 4 ice counters on it. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, remove an ice counter from Thing in the ice. Then, if it has no ice counters on it, transform it. The other side is a 7/8.
Yeah.
A 7/8 Kraken Horror. When this creature transforms into Awoken Horror... Awoken, sorry. Oh, it's real small.
Yeah.
Return all non-horror creatures to their owner's hand. What?
Yeah.
Okay, so I don't know what you've read. I'll tell you the one thing that I saw was someone said this thing sounds completely busted in some sort of like Delver aggressive deck. It's a reset. You can easily place thing turn 2. Turn 3 you can flip it with Probe, and then 3 1 casting cost spells, whether it's Lightning Bolts or Serum Visions.
Yes, Usagi Yojimbo, Kraken Horror. No, Horror. Horror.
Wait. Okay, yeah, you're right. It's horror. It's pretty damn close, though. All right, so this card, they're saying, okay,
Oh, it's important to note that both sides are a horror as well.
they're very, very whorish.
Yeah.
So, what do you think about this card?
I think it's good. I mean, it has a place in multiple styles of deck because like it could be played in a control-y deck where it's like your early blocker, keeps you from taking damage early on, and then over time becomes this nice finisher, right?
Yeah. Okay.
A finisher that not only is a great finisher because it's a 7/8, but that wipes the rest of the board. You know.
Right.
So
you're going to do everything you can to save that 4th spell for your turn so you can swing with this thing.
Right.
Am I wrong?
4th spell. Oh, instant or sorcery. Yes.
Yeah, that's...
Yeah, and like you said, it plays in right into those sort of Delver style tempo decks, which
Yeah, you know, they're looking for a quick finisher. They're going to hit with the Delver for a couple turns. They're going to Lightning Bolt you, and then they're going to flip this thing for basically nothing,
right,
and then hit you for 7.
Right. Yeah, it's really good.
Yeah, you know, it is really good. As far as finance, though, as interesting as this sounds, because I mean, a lot of people are really... I think people are overhyping this.
It's a rare, I believe.
Exactly. It's a rare... I don't see it really going above the $3 mark.
Well,
personally,
if it becomes a modern staple, it will go up long after it rotates out of standard.
Exactly. But whenever I'm saying whenever I'm assessing a new card, I'm saying, all right,
for now, until it rotates, basically.
And whenever it rotates, you know, it's still not going to go up too much. It's a great card. It screams build around me, or not even build around me, just include
slot it
stuff.
into a tempo deck. Yeah.
Right. Throw me in there. I do a lot of things real quick and cheap. Because, I mean, if there's one thing we've learned, it's that the number on cards, like it says, oh, it takes this many things or so on and so forth, doesn't really, like, mean too much. Look at Treasure Cruise. People, honest to God, said, okay, Treasure Cruise is not that busted because it cost a total of 9 mana. Sure, you can lower that cost a little bit with the Delve.
Right.
But people, honest to God, were like, that card is not that good. I think the number 4, I think whenever R&D, research and development, made this card, they said, you know what? 4 is a pretty big number. I think we're safe with this. And I think it's a perfect number. 3 would have been way too much. 3 would have been way too little.
Right.
And I think 5 would all of a sudden made this card where we're saying, it's okay.
Right.
But 4, I think we can really bust this thing.
Because that's the same sort of range where you start getting into being able to cast your Delve cards and flipping your Delvers and stuff like that. So, like, yeah, I have a feeling it will be played in some sort of deck in Standard and Modern.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would love to see this thing in Standard. And I think we'll see it. I don't know if it'll be the card of Standard, but we will see this card.
Yeah. That brings us along to a second creature that, when it transforms, can perform a board wipe.
So the card of standard.
Yeah.
All right. Archangel Avacyn. 2 white, 3 and any. For a 4/4. Wait till you hear this card. Legendary creature angel.
Yep.
Flash.
Yep.
Flying.
Yep.
Vigilance.
Mm-hmm.
When Archangel Avacyn enters the battlefield, creatures you control gain indestructible until end of turn.
Good. Well, that's a great card. Let's discuss it. Oh wait.
Oh, there's another. Is that 2 sentences? Maybe no. It's one.
Keep going.
Okay. When a non-angel creature you control dies, transform Archangel Avacyn. What? At the beginning of the next upkeep? Hold on. I don't even want to talk about the other side yet. I want to talk about what I'm looking at right now.
Yeah.
2 white, 3 colorless, flash, flying, vigilance. Give all your creatures, including Archangel Avacyn, indestructible 4/4.
She's really good.
What?
She's really good.
Hold on. Look, this card is so good, it doesn't even need another side. Anything on the other side is just straight up bonus.
Icing on the cake.
It's icing on the cake. The other side could literally just say 0/0, done. I think this card would still see standard play. That's how strong that is. I don't know if, we're talking about a situation where whether you're attacking and protecting your creatures, or you're creating, which I think it's most going to be used, is blocking and creating a completely unfavorable board position for your opponent. Okay? The other side, Donald K. Magic could say, says you lose the game. I'm fine with that. I think I'm okay with that. No, I'm not okay with that. Let's touch on the other side.
Yeah.
Ready? Remember, when a non-angel creature dies, you transport it at the beginning of the next upkeep. Not immediately, next upkeep.
Right.
And
here's control. When a non-angel creature you control dies. Yeah.
We now have a 6/5 flyer, and whenever she transforms, it deals 3 damage to each other creature and each opponent. Pretty damn good.
Yeah. So the first side is a flashable protect your creatures, and the other side is a really good
a 3 damage pyroclasm.
Yeah.
But it still
I was
hits
trying
the
to think of
opponent.
the name, Fire Spout or something like that.
Yeah, but it still hits the opponent too.
Yeah.
I mean, this card, I honest to God think that this card, people are hyping this thing up. I don't think they're hyping it enough.
Yeah, I mean, it's so good. It's crazy good.
It is insanely good. And
I think it's crazy that they've spoiled it this early when there's still time left, because what else are we going to see? I mean, have they blown their wad already?
They might have. They really might have, because I said, without this thing transforming, without the upside of this thing flipping, doing 3 to my opponent, and me being able to swing for 6, which is just insane, okay? Without that, this card could literally be just this white side minus the bottom sentence.
Yeah.
And it would be insane.
Yeah, really, really good. Yeah. Like touching on Baneslayer Angel level. I mean, it's better than Baneslayer level. Yeah, how often have we seen really good 5 casting cost finishers like this in the past several years?
And that's actually a great point. Use the word finisher. A 4/4 isn't necessarily a finisher. It's a lot. What that card is.
It's a bunch
is
of
a
beef.
lot of.
Yeah.
It is a lot of combat tricks. I mean, the fact that it has vigilance does kind of make it a finisher. 4/4 flying vigilance is a finisher. Think about Celestial Colonnade.
Right.
We use that we spend 5 mana to activate that bad boy.
Yeah, once a turn.
Okay. This thing is way better than Baneslayer Angel. It is probably, I can't think of
And we're still talking about minus the flip side.
Just where it sits right now as this white creature, no flipping.
Yeah.
It is one of the best 5 creatures ever. I don't have to look at a list. I can easily tell you top 5.
Like we talked about Dragon Lord Ojitai earlier when we were discussing this. And he's really, really good. He's better than Baneslayer Angel, but
he's unique.
He doesn't approach this.
Right. See, he is more unique.
And I don't like hyping the obvious chase card of the set.
No.
This is the obvious chase card of the set, but they really made it a good chase card.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. you guys don't know us that well because we're fairly new to the game. This is like our fourth episode or so.
By the game, he means the
Talking.
Twitch game, not the Magic game.
The Twitch, the YouTube.
Right.
You know, we're fairly new to getting our opinions out there to the masses.
Yeah.
Okay? So you don't know that typically when we look at cards, we don't get that excited. We don't go nuts. We really try to evaluate things at their face value. Is this card actually powerful? Is it really going to see play?
Yeah.
And a lot of times, whenever people are overhyping things, they get it wrong. The majority of people do get the cards wrong.
Yeah.
When it comes to Archangel Avacyn and people talking about how great it is, I think they're still getting it wrong. I don't think they're saying it's as good as it is.
Yeah.
I think it's better. So whenever Star City Games starts pre-selling this thing for $25 and you say, I've been burned before for $25, if you're playing Standard and maybe even Modern in the next...
Yeah, I don't know. Is it modernable? Maybe.
I bet it is.
Yeah.
It is Modern playable, which is insane to
I mean,
say about
it doesn't. It doesn't
$5
necessarily
card.
have a spot right now, but it certainly could.
It does have a spot.
Where?
Kiki Cord.
Oh, yeah.
It has a great spot there. Okay, we'll talk about Modern next. Actually, it wasn't even on our list, but we will talk about it. Okay, because of this card. Now,
Kiki doesn't work with her.
Oh, non-angel.
Non-legend.
No, not even just that. I was thinking about the Restoration Angel. That's why I was... Oh, Restoration Angel, Kiki Cord.
Yeah, she doesn't slot in there at all.
Oh, man.
Because she can't be copied by Kiki.
Nope.
Yeah.
See, whenever I said Kiki Cord, I was talking about Restoration Angel, not even thinking about the non-angel clause.
Yeah, that's funny too.
Man, how did they nail that?
They did.
They nailed Restoration Angel. they made Archangel Avacyn as something completely different in the past. And they're like, oh, that's a great card. We're going to release this. Wait a minute. Restoration Angel. Save it, buddy. We're going to save this for Archangel Avacyn. It's the only way. It's the only way we can make this card, which I still don't know how they made this card. I really don't. So, even without that, I still say this card is modern playable. And I don't say that about many 5-drops ever.
Yeah.
It's still a great card. Not as much as I originally just off the top of my head thought, but it is insane.
Yeah, I could definitely see it topping their pre-order price.
And that's what I was getting at. I was talking about before we, when they sell it for $25 pre-order, and we all have been burned on a lot of different cards. And normally I say, just don't even touch it, just wait. Because whatever the biggest pre-order card is, it always drops.
Right.
I mean, look at Narset Transcendent.
Oh, Jesus.
That thing started out like $50.
Yeah, and
Maybe
everybody
more,
hyping
60.
it and talking about how
They're
amazing
going
it was.
on and on. And what did I do when I called you?
What can you buy that for now? Like $5 or something?
I haven't even looked
$7?
it up. I'm sure it's about that.
Probably under 10 for sure.
I called him the day it happened, and I said, we both agreed this card is just going to end up being nothing. We're talking sub $10. And I haven't looked at it in a long time, but I promise you it's got to be sub $10. If it's not, it's right at $10.
I'll look at it while you keep
Look at it. Go ahead.
You keep talking.
So...
Vamp. Go on.
Okay. So, once again, Archangel Avacyn. Don't even have to know the rest of the set. This is... Okay, there might be one other chase card, probably long term, but this is the card.
Let's go back here.
And the other side, and it being able to flip, let's talk a little bit about, Eldrazi Displacer. I mean, it's not really the best synergy, but you would get one use out of it, maybe, if you played the Displacer after it's already flipped. You could then at least protect, or any sort of blink, where you could then at least get to reuse the indestructible part.
Right.
I think that's pretty important. So it's not necessarily... Got mine for $7.
Yeah, I know for a fact that Usagi bought his within the last month or two.
Okay.
Star City's still selling them for $10. So.
Yeah, I don't trust their prices. I guarantee they have a huge... way too many. They have 57 in stock.
Is she from
They're not even going to sell it. Yeah, she's in, Dragons.
Dragons. Yeah, so she's still around for a while.
Right. And she's a great... Narset Transcendent, it's a great card for EDH.
Yeah.
It's okay. It's playable. But it
was not the chase card that everybody thought it was going to be.
Exactly, and that's what they thought the chase card was going to be.
Yeah.
Avacyn is the chase card.
Unless they print 10 commons that just so happen to say on them, also destroy Avacyn Archangel or whatever. That's the only way. I mean.
So, hold on. 2 black, demon, zombie, 2/2, comes in play. destroy target legendary angel.
And then they keep doing that on other cards.
Right. We need more than just that. You know what we should have brought up, and I think we can bring it up now. There's
Not even good enough because she could come into play and just.
I know she's I know it's
Yeah.
they
And we're
can't
being
do
silly.
the turn. We are being silly, and
Yeah.
it's just
She's really, really good.
yeah, she is insane. Is there anything like so a lot of people are already starting to, and we had discussed this as well, like we need to kind of think past Eldrazi.
Oh, we're shifting gears into modern.
Let's go ahead and shift. Our main subject that we like to talk about, that we like to put a lot of thought into, is modern. And a lot of times, whenever we evaluate brand new cards, we are gonna, we're gonna talk about standard as far as prices are concerned. We're not gonna talk about modern long term. We might bring it up, but you will hear us a lot of times talk about its implications in modern, because that's where our specialty is. That's what we love.
Yeah.
We're passionate about modern.
Particularly when it's not an Eldrazi modern.
Right. Yeah, this is... I planned on taking my brother to several tournaments because he just finished his modern deck in December.
Right.
He got the whole thing put together. Affinity. Now, Affinity was one of the decks that was supposed to do pretty well against Eldrazi this last weekend. There was one in all
the
top eight.
There was like no coverage of Affinity all weekend.
There was none because we found out it's not good enough.
Yeah.
And we knew that. And that's exactly why I told my brother, hey, we're not going to play any events. We're going to wait till April. And then we'll go back and we'll start grinding modern again. But, what is it? What do you think I know we discussed what we think we're going to see, but
Well,
do you see a home for Avacyn?
oh, like immediately in a deck that already exists?
Not even just...
That used to exist?
Do you see just something straight up, like, I know we said, okay, I immediately thought Kiki Court, it got me real excited, but there's got to be another...
There was a rising trend of blue-white control that was coming about for a while there before Eldrazi Winter.
Mm-hmm.
So I could see her there in a sort of creature-centric version of the blue-white control deck, which, I mean, they kind of were. They were lots of walls and whatnots like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I could see it in a deck like that. I could see it in maybe as like a 1-of or a 2-of in some sort of Avacyn deck, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, what do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, it is. It's just one of those cards that I think we're gonna find it slotted to a lot of different places. Someone just left us a little message here. We're pretty much at the end, so we can start talking about it.
Yeah.
Can you tell me if this deck I made is good to play at FNM?
Says 56 Giratina?
One of those two names.
Yeah.
I spent 2 weeks on it, so I don't know. Help, please. So what he has here is a standard deck. It's Eldrazi Scion Rally. So he's got Blister Pod, Carrier Thrall, which is going to be... Okay. So right now, obviously, as we saw, Eldrazi Scion. Elvish Visionary to draw cards. Okay, and obviously we're going to see Rally the Ancestors here. You know what that is, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Sidisi. Yeah. And Tuco Husk, Eldrazi Displacer. I
love Eldrazi Displacer.
Yeah, hold on. Catacomb Sifter, which we're both big fans of Catacomb Sifter, for sure. And then the Cutthroat, whenever it dies, whenever creatures... Yeah, okay. Yeah, I kind of like this. Bone Splinters, interesting choice of removal.
Bone Splinters. Well, they're wanting... He's wanting...
He's trying to...
He or she is wanting creatures to be dying and stuff.
Right. Yeah, so Bone Splinter is good. Just glancing at the list, I don't think I saw it in here.
The only immediate thing I have is that there's like no top end.
Well, the top end is Rally.
Yeah, I guess so.
The top end is Rally. I believe the only thing I'd really want to add is the 1 black 2 colorless when it comes to play Sacrifice a Creature. Each player does. I think it just gives them a little bit more control against other creature decks that are trying to be quicker than you.
Yeah, and it fits in with your sacrifice theme and still gets you a replacement body on the board while being removal.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So as far as I like Bone Splinters. It's target removal. Yeah, I guess I would keep Bone Splinters, but I would find a way to add in the other guy just because. I think you want a little bit more removal.
That card is called.
Yeah, it's not coming to me.
Yeah.
I no idea why. But
well, I know why. we don't play standard enough.
Actually, speaking of standard, I will be going to GP Minneapolis? No. Yeah, it is Minneapolis, which is going to be standard. So, yeah, thanks for watching us. I had people say playing Smothering Aberration for... Yeah, I could see that, because anytime you sack creature, you draw a card.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does make your curve a little bit lower. Yeah, thank you. Merciless Executioner and our Fleshbag Marauder.
Ooh, Fleshbag. I love Fleshbag Marauder.
Yeah, they're both the same.
Yeah.
They're just two different names available in standard right now. Yeah, I could see where people are telling you to run Smothering Aberration just because... Abomination. Damn it. Yeah, I think both those options are fine. I'll tell you what, everyone's a little bit different, and I think we all have a little bit slightly different play styles. So whenever it comes to a decision between that, whether just straight up drawing cards or searching for a specific card, I think that's something you probably just would find out in playtesting. You're going to know which one you like better. You're going to find out. I mean, since you're only running 3 Rally of the Ancestors, Sidisi, I think, might be the better option. But you might just want to throw one Smothering Abomination.
Which Sidisi was he playing?
The one that...
The green-black one?
No, exploit, sacrifice a creature.
Oh, okay.
And then you search your library for a card, put it in your hand. It's a demonic tutor attached to a creature. So, yeah, I would consider just running one Smothering. See how it runs. If you like it, keep it up. If you don't, pull them out. But yeah, Merciless Executioner and our Flashbag Marauder, I would make room for at least somewhere in the vicinity of 3 to 5 of those in your deck. So...
Yeah, that's a really good card.
Yeah.
And it fits your theme very well.
And we are at this point now where Sidisi with Displacer. Yeah, you have to sacrifice, which your deck is pretty good at. Yeah.
Does that work on come into play, or was it a cast?
Yeah, it's
exploit. Is it cast or come into play?
Yeah, there it is. Yeah, when it enters the battlefield, that's what exploit is. Yeah. Okay, you know what? You're right.
That is pretty nice.
I would 100%. You are 100% correct. Sidisi is way better.
Yeah, reusable
demonic
tutor. Yeah.
For 1 white and 2 colorless.
Yeah.
Yes, please. Wow.
I really love Eldrazi Displacer. Come into play effects are one of my favorite things.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, without pause, what's my favorite card ever?
Ever.
What is my favorite card?
I know Revelark.
Yeah, there you go, Revelark.
It just...
I mean, Revelark doesn't have a come into play effect, but it plays well with come into play effects.
Right.
It's my favorite sort of strategy.
Yeah, you kind of told them in the wrong way. You had to give them more to say, oh, well, this is my thing. Yeah.
Oh, boy.
So, yeah, definitely. And also, since we are at the end of this, we'll stay on a little bit. You guys can ask questions. We'd love to answer them.
Yeah. And we're not super knowledgeable about standard yet, but we will become.
I'm a little bit more so. I've been playing a little bit, but yeah.
But come spring or so, we're gonna be getting into it more. So.
Oh yeah, well we'll be playing actually quite a bit. Antiquoth Rally, yeah, we know that. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, your rally deck, it's pretty interesting. I like the fact that it's a fantastic budget deck.
Yeah, and it has potential to sort of combo off too a little bit.
Well, that's the point. It does.
Yeah, I mean it can go wide or it can combo off. Is what I'm saying.
Yeah. Either way, it's a pretty solid deck. I think if I were more into budget decks, I think that's the direction I would go. It's pretty strong. Yes, as I said, we are going to hang here a little bit longer. We have nowhere we have to be besides maybe Taco Bell.
It's what we crave. Not a sponsor.
Wait. Maybe.
Yet.
And I do want to thank you, 56. I'm just going to Giratina. We do want to thank you for watching. And
speaking of infinite combo, not to detract from the conversation here, did you see that some of the Eldrazi decks were incorporating an infinite combo into them?
Oh, yeah, I did. That's ridiculous.
That was pretty crazy. Sorry.
Oh, you know what? Donald K. Magic, and I was going to bring it up. Have you talked about the zombie 2-mana recoil spoiler that may not have been officially spoiled yet?
2-mana recoil?
Yeah, I saw him. He's a little bit interesting.
No, I put it down.
That's fine. We'll just go ahead and bring it up here. Here, I can just do this. We did the same thing. All right, let's go ahead and
let's have a look at it real quick. I wish we were tech savvy enough to bring it up on the screen for them guys here, but
actually I am. I just don't have it set up.
Right.
Like, I can actually just click a checkbox. I just haven't put it on here yet. We will do that very soon. Okay, so they haven't put it on here, which is very unfortunate.
Haven't they? And this is the unofficial spoilers list here.
Yeah, that's
so what do you
wild.
know?
I saw it all over. It was all over Twitter.
What do you know about it?
Well, I'm gonna try and go from memory here. 2 black, 2/2. When it dies, you can pay a black to return it to your hand. Also, whenever it dies, you can pay X and return another zombie
That was an
creature
official
card from your
spoil.
graveyard. Yeah, why is it not on there?
That was from... They spoiled that over the Grand Prix.
They did.
Yeah, Relentless Dead or something like that?
Yeah, I don't know why it's not on there. Oh, he was talking about a different card.
Oh.
Whoops.
Yeah, I don't know what that card is then.
Well, I'll tell you what. Even with that, we can still talk about the other card because I think the other card falls into a category of overhyped.
Which one? The Relentless
The
Dead?
zombie. Yeah, Relentless Dead. I believe
I
that.
think it's good. It's just...
I'll tell you what. Donald K. Magic, send us a link to the other card and we will discuss it. But let's talk about Relentless Dead. It is a good card.
Yeah.
I like it a lot, but I think people, once again, they're just overhyping. There's a difference between
it's
overhyping
another one of those. It's
and
another one of those
hyping.
cards that like is too much mana investment for what it does.
It is. It's very expensive. It's great in like a mono black control deck.
Yeah.
Fantastic there.
But you also
There's
have to have a heavy commitment to zombies.
Right.
Yeah.
Which I think you would. I don't know. Whenever it comes to Avacyn, it's so weird. People are talking a lot about it. I think people are talking about Avacyn, and I think they're talking about Relentless Dead the same amount. And I think that there should be... How is this a zombie? Oh. Okay, so he sent us compelling deterrence. Deterrence. Fuck me. Blue, one... Oh, blue...
And an any.
And any. Instant. Return target non-land permanent to its owner's hand. Then that player discards a card if you control a zombie. That's pretty interesting. So basically we have a very typical card, which is 2 mana, return non-land permanent to its owner's hand. But then we have the bonus of if we control a zombie, they discard a card. But is that really a bonus?
I mean, it is a bonus, but it's a lot to work for.
I don't think it's hard to work for. What I was trying to go for was, I'm going to be Orson here. Yeah, but what about madness? Yeah, what about madness?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
Oh, God.
I don't know if I want to, especially if we're kind of predicting, and it's really early in the spoiler season to go this far. But I, honest to God, feel like, so I can't talk for both of us, I personally feel like there is going to be a very dominant madness deck in Standard. And
I don't know if it will be dominant, but it will be a presence.
It's going to be heavily played.
Yeah.
And with a deck being heavily played, I'm not quite sure if this card actually...
Now, if it said something like at random or...
Random would be good.
Or like a land card or an instant card or whatever, like something that made it a little more specific than they get to choose a thing to madness, then yeah. But this is not the time for this card.
Yeah, it's a fine card. It looks...
Wait. What if you do it on yourself?
Okay.
Now it becomes a completely different card.
Right, okay. It does become a completely different card because now it's harder to evaluate.
Yeah.
It is way harder to evaluate. So this would be an interesting way to... it's a madness enabler, and it's a way to bounce something to your hand specifically.
Not only is it a madness enabler, it's also a... what's the sort of like threshold ability?
Delirium?
Delirium, yeah. It's also a delirium enabler. Which is another reason why you wouldn't want to do it for your opponent.
Okay, that's a good point, yeah.
But I almost feel like they've given us this card that looks like something at a first glance that you want to use as removal against your opponent, but this really looks like some sort of like synergy component for your own deck.
It looks like a piece to a puzzle.
Yeah.
It looks like they're, and that's only if they provide the rest of the puzzle.
Yeah.
We don't know if they've done that.
So this has to almost be like a blue-black zombie madness or zombie delirium or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So that's why I called it, hence zombie recoil.
Yeah.
Okay. That card is fine. It's going to be very, very heavily dependent on the metagame.
Yeah.
So it starts to become, well, is it a sideboard card? And then you have to really ask yourself, is it a sideboard card that's better than the others that you'd want to play?
Well, it's like you said. It's very very dependent on the strategies that are going to be played in standard. But like, you have to think about the fact that if you do build it into a deck where you want to cast it on yourself, you still have the option of using it as backup removal, even if your opponent is playing Madness. So it's one of those cards where there's like a trade off. So it's precariously balanced right now as far as what we know of the coming set.
Yeah, so
it's going to depend heavily on the spoilers,
and that's why it's going to make it really hard to make a snap judgment this time.
Yeah.
But I'm going to say very, very borderline.
Yeah.
just probably one of the most borderline cards I've ever looked at.
I mean,
because of how early it is in the spoiler.
It does
season.
it does some things that may or may not be relevant.
Yeah.
I mean, it has the potential of being great, but it has the potential of being something you never want to cast. So I don't know.
Actually, question for Twitch chat: where should we go to eat for dinner tonight?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Yeah, because I'm getting hungry.
It's got to be cheap. Because
wait.
I am poor.
Not too cheap, but cheap.
Yeah, cheap.
Dang. Maybe we should go over some of the options.
Some of the options?
Some of the options that are around here.
They include Taco Bell.
Wait a minute!
But are not exclusive to.
Forget it, Twitch chat. I know exactly where we're going. Yes! That's what I was going to say! Popeyes! I started taking them there. Donald K. Magic.
I've been there.
You are... Not with me.
Yes. We right when it opened.
Look, I eat it so much, I forget who I go with. I find any opportunity I can to take some... Panda Express is good, too.
Usagi Panda
We talked
Express.
about that. Oh, no! Why? Usagi Jojimbo 82. And I'm going to have to assume 82 stands for, because I'm really good at guessing things, 82 is standing for how many inches tall he is. Very tall. Man.
I wouldn't call either of those cheap, by the way. I mean, I guess Popeyes kind of is.
Whoa. They're both... Panda Express is like $7 and you get like 2 or 3 entrees.
You're right. Man, Panda Express, dude.
And now I hate... Okay. We're going to need a third person here. We need a tiebreaker.
Yeah, 56 Giratina. Are you still here?
We need someone to help us
Save
because
us.
this is the hardest
Tiebreaker.
thing. I eat Popeyes so much, but it makes me want to go to Panda Express, but I eat Popeyes so much because I love Popeyes. Who doesn't? Oh, man. Tell me there's someone else.
Oh,
okay, well, we got
Malazza.
Malazzo. It's up to you, Malazza, please.
Malazza, if you're watching.
See? He's
6'10", see?
Nailed it!
Man, we got it.
Hold on, let me do this. No, I'm going to do this. Yes! And no, I wasn't signaling to the truck. Okay, so... Well, he's taller than me, so his vote counts more. That's not true. That's not how votes are counted.
I'm willing to go with that because I'm kind of leaning towards Panda Express now.
Those biscuits!
Oh, no!
It just doesn't end!
Usagi, how could you?
Oh, we just went to Panda. He decided, and then you biscuited us.
Oh, those biscuits, dude.
Oh, okay.
And everything Cajun.
Oh, Cajun. There's honey for those biscuits.
And the little crumbly stuff in the mashed potatoes.
And they have apple pies that I love. I'm on a diet. I love the pies.
Let's go to Panda Express.
How did that just happen?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't want to be swayed towards something with all this talk of deliciousness. Let's go to Panda Express.
I can't do it.
Should we conclude off air or on air? Should we leave it as a cliffhanger? Find out next week on Robin Orson Talk Magic.
For all 3 of you that are watching. Let the suspense build.
All right. I think we're going to leave it there. We're going to go get food and tune in to our
Saturday broadcast.
Our Saturday broadcast. You can follow us on Twitter at Robin Orson, and we will see you soon.
Bye.
Bye.